The Secret of the Mysterious Bouquet. Miss Marple solves the village riddle. Sunday mornings in St. Mary Mead are usually peaceful. Birds sing along the hedgerows, smoke curls lazily from cottage chimneys, and most of the villagers walk together to church. But that particular morning, when they returned, a strange sight unsettled them all. The door of Mrs. Mildred's flower shop, always locked with meticulous care, was standing wide open. On the wooden counter, where simple bouquets usually rested, stood a vase of crimson roses, so fresh they seemed almost unnatural, as though they had just been cut that very hour. The villagers exchanged glances, half curious, half afraid. Who had placed the flowers there? And why was the shop left open while Mrs. Mildred was away? Mrs. Simmons, who owned the grocer's shop next door, shook her head. Probably some children fooling around. They're always running wild on Saturday nights. Another voice objected. No child could arrange roses like this. Look at them. So neat, so perfect. This was no prank. Inspector Harper, the local constable, arrived and frowned. Likely a gift for Mrs. Mildred. Door left ajar, nothing more. But his words calmed no one. Then a maid from the Whittaker household spoke up, her voice trembling. Last night, I saw a man standing outside the shop. Tall, thin, wearing a hat. He lingered for a while, then disappeared. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Someone had been there in the night. Someone had left this bouquet. And then a quiet, steady voice rose above the noise. No, this is not a prank. All eyes turned to the elderly lady with silver hair, sharp eyes behind round spectacles. Miss Marple. Miss Marple approached the vase. She didn't touch it at once, but leaned closer to study it. First, the roses still bore tiny beads of dew. That meant they had not been bought at market. They had been cut early that morning, right here in the village. Second, the vase itself was fine-cut glass, polished and expensive. Not the sort of thing Mrs. Mildred usually kept in her modest little shop. Third, one rose stem was cut far too close, its end clean and sharp. That was no florist's shears. It was a gardener's knife. Miss Marple raised her head slowly, eyes scanning the villagers gathered outside. Who in our village, she wondered aloud, owns such a knife? Constable Harper sighed impatiently. Just a vase of flowers, Miss Marple. Surely nothing serious. She smiled faintly. My dear Mr. Harper, in this village, secrets often begin with the smallest of details. We ought to be careful. By afternoon, gossip had spread like wildfire. Perhaps Thomas, the flirtatious young man, was trying to impress Mrs. Mildred. Or Mrs. Simmons herself, jealous of the flower shop's success, had staged this to cause trouble. Others whispered it might be a sign of a hidden romance. Later that day, Miss Marple returned to the shop. Mrs. Mildred sat quietly in a corner, her face pale. My dear Mrs. Mildred, Marple said gently, do you know who left this bouquet? She shook her head. I only know that when I returned from church, it was already there. I don't want any trouble. But to tell the truth, I am frightened. Miss Marple's voice softened. Don't be afraid. I don't believe this is a threat. But it does carry a message, something very personal. That evening, Miss Marple sat by her fire, a cup of tea in hand, knitting set aside. She reviewed the details in her mind. Roses with dew still clinging to them, cut locally and recently. A cut glass vase, definitely not Mildred's. A sharp knife cut, done by someone skilled with plants. Only one man in the village fit all three clues. Mr. Harris, the elderly gardener. Mr. Harris was known for his temper and solitude, but many suspected he held a quiet affection for Mrs. Mildred, though he never spoke of it openly. Miss Marple recalled the maid's words. A tall, thin man in a hat standing by the shop that night. It matched Harris's silhouette exactly. The next morning, Miss Marple found Harris in his garden, pruning with his ever-present shears. Beautiful roses, Mr. Harris, she remarked softly. He flinched, his hand pausing. What do you mean? Marple's eyes rested on him kindly but firmly. The bouquet at Mrs. Mildred's shop. Only you could have cut them so precisely. And the vase. I believe it once belonged to your mother." Harris's shoulders slumped. After a long silence, he sighed. "Yes, it was me. Last night I argued with Mildred. She said she would sell the shop, leave this village. I lost my temper. I shouted. This morning, I placed the bouquet there as an apology." Miss Marple gave a small nod, her eyes thoughtful. "Roses are beautiful, Mr. Harris, but they are also fragile. People often see them as symbols of love, yet they can also be a warning of how quickly something precious may be lost." Mrs. Mildred forgave Harris, though unease still lingered in her eyes. For during their quarrel, Harris had let slip a hint of an old secret, one that tied them both to events long buried, a secret that could shake the village's peace if revealed. Miss Marple closed the matter with her gentle smile, but in her heart she knew. In a village that seems so quiet, the greatest secrets are often betrayed by the smallest of signs. And sometimes, a vase of roses is only the beginning of a far darker tale. What do you think? Was this bouquet simply an apology or a warning of something greater? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the next Miss Marple mystery.